So Steve, we're heading into the final days of the talks here. Let's run down a few of the major issues. First of all, the Kyoto Protocol. Is the Kyoto Protocol safe? And if so, what form do you expect to see it come out of here with?
No, I don't think it's the Kyoto Protocol is safe at all. In fact, I think it's coming under attack. We're not too sure what the European Union wants to do. I mean, are they willing to go ahead? Are they willing to show leadership, to show the world that, yes, we will do it? What is it to them anyway? I mean, they've already agreed to minus 20%, so they should be out there saying, we will continue with Kyoto, regardless, because we care about this. It's coming under attack by countries like Canada and Japan and Russia. Canada even threatening to maybe pull out of the Kyoto Protocol. So I think that we need public pressure to tell our leaders here that this is important, that we need this. If we lose the Kyoto Protocol, then we can forget about preventing global average temperatures from reaching 2 degrees Celsius.
Okay, another issue that's come up very largely here is finance, and we've heard a lot about the Green Climate Fund. Where does that stand today?
Well, unfortunately, it seems that countries, despite the fact that rich countries, rich nations have pledged time and again that they were going to put money on the table, no one is coming here with money to put on the table. And we need this. It's important. I mean, it's important to figure out what the right architecture and how the fund will work. These are important issues. But what's a fund worth if you have no money to put into it? How are we going to do adaptation in the least developed countries, and how are we going to help people in a small island state if that fund is an empty shell? So again, a call onto the people who have created the problems. I mean, industrialized countries are responsible for over 60% of historical emissions of greenhouse gas, so they need to step up to the plate, and funding is an important mechanism that they need, is an important way that they need to show it.
Do you expect that the fund itself will be set up by the end of this conference?
Well, it would be a very sad conference and a very sad day if at least they can't agree on the architecture, on how the fund is going to work and its mechanisms are going to operate.
And in terms of the innovative sources of financing, we've heard a lot about bunker fuels, especially from Oxfam and WWF. Do you feel like that's being included here?
This is, I guess I'm sounding very pessimistic, but unfortunately, on bunker again, this is probably one place where the European Union has showed leadership with the inclusion of the aviation sector as part of the European trading scheme. But this is being viewed, and a number of countries are showing lots of resistance to bunker being included as part of the mechanism to fund such things as the Green Climate Fund. But if countries can't have it both ways, those who oppose including bunkers, those who oppose saying, well, we'll bring the private sector on board, need to come up with the money. Either they're willing to step up to the plate, put the money on the table, or find ways, innovative ways, new ways to get the money. You can't have it both ways.
Are there any countries that are leading on this so far, moving forward progressively?
Well, as I said, I think the European Union has already showed leadership on this file. Now it's time to other countries like the US, like Canada, like Japan, Australia, and others to say, well, yeah, we recognize our historic responsibility. We recognize we created that problem. We recognize that when we signed Kyoto. We recognize that 20 years ago when we signed the Rio Convention. Now it's time to come clean on this.
Now, in terms of a mandate for a larger comprehensive binding agreement to eventually replace Kyoto, we're hearing about 2015, 2020. What are you hearing about that right now?
A lot of us thought we were coming to Durban to negotiate a post-2012 agreement, and all of a sudden we woke up to realize that a number of countries were talking about a post-2020 agreement. So what are we going to do for the next 10 years? We're going to meditate on what we need to do. We're going to think about this for the next decade and not do anything. I mean, the science is very clear. The International Energy Agency, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the United Nations Environmental Program are all saying we have about 5 to 6 years to prevent global average temperatures from increasing above the 2 degrees Celsius limit. We can't be talking for the next 10 years about this. We need to start, and we need to start acting now. We needed that 2 years ago. We certainly need it more than ever now. So for us, anything that locks into place inaction for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years is absolutely unacceptable.
The U.S. delegation seems to be implying that the targets that have already been set to cover all the countries of the world between now and 2020 are sufficient, and we should talk about setting new targets beyond 2020. Why is that not the case?
Well, the U.S. delegation has yet to show one shred of evidence to support that position, one shred of scientific backing, any analysis that shows that they're right. And we disagree. We don't think that all roads lead to Rome. In fact, a lot of roads lead to climate chaos, to suffering, to hundreds of thousands of people losing their lives, millions of people being affected by climate change. And we strongly disagree with that U.S. view that there's enough that's been pledged already, that's been put on the table by countries. We need to do way more than what was committed to in Copenhagen, than what was committed to in Kyoto, and we know that. We know that now.
If the U.S. isn't willing to do more between now and 2020, what can the rest of the world do without it?
Well, obviously, it would be an ideal scenario would be to have everybody working together, everybody going in the same direction. But what's the alternative? Can we wait for the Republicans in the U.S. to start believing in climate change, to start reading scientific papers about this? It's a problem that the U.S. isn't on board, but the world might as well keep going ahead without them and force them one way or the other by trade measures, for example, in terms of their exports, to put in place programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to put in place measures to fight climate change. If they're not willing to do it from the inside, then maybe we can impose it from the outside.
Who are the key countries that can bring that pressure?
Well, the European Union must stand firm. There's this perception within the U.S. delegation and the U.S. government and the White House that, oh, it's okay. The European will always cave in the end. So we don't have to step up to the plate. We don't have to do anything, because in the end they want any agreement so badly that we can just stay with our position. And I think it's important for people to understand that unless there is strong pressure put on European leaders so that they will stand their grounds, so that they won't budge to the U.S., then we could come out. If that happens, then we could come out of here with a good agreement. We need to call on countries like India and China to be more flexible. I mean, no one is saying they have to do as much as countries like Canada or Japan, but they are becoming large greenhouse gas emitters. And if we want to keep global average temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius, all the large emitters must take on more actions.
And you've just come out of a meeting of a lot of NGOs who are talking about all these issues. Is there optimism at this point that we can still come out of this process with a good outcome at the end of Friday?
Yes, there is still optimism, but people are worried about a number of things that are happening, are worried about certain countries not doing what they should be doing. But all is not lost. I mean, we have 3 more days, and with people's help, with your help, we can make this happen. We can make Durban a success. We can come out of here with better tools to fight climate change globally.
Great. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.